you? I hope that you are doing amazing. It's DarlingDTarot bringing you another pick a card reading. So for today, we are going to be getting right into this and asking the question, who is your secret admirer? So not only are we going to be covering who your secret admirer is, but also what they admire about you and what they want you to know going forward. We will also grab some messages from their higher self. Woohoo! So as per usual, we have three lovely piles here in front of us. We have stack 1, stack 2, and stack 3. Now you can choose based off of the energy of the pile, the number of the pile, or the item associated with each stack. For today, we have this beautiful chakra pendant for stack 1. For stack 2, we have this lovely ladybug. And for stack 3, we have this Go For It Olympics pin. Woohoo! So you can choose just one pile, 2 piles, or all 3, whatever you feel very much resonates with you and you feel very pulled to. So let's go ahead and clear our minds and take a deep breath in. Let's hold it. And release. And with that, I will give you a few seconds to choose your pile, and then I will see you at your pick. Bye! Hello to everyone who picked stack 1. Let's get right into your reading and see who is your secret admirer and why do they admire you. So starting off with your first 2 cards, these are your Druid Animal Oracle cards, and these are talking about the overall energy of your secret admirer. Who is this person, right? So we have Adder and Bull. Woohoo! So these are really awesome cards to have because you have the traditionally strong Bull, but you also have the spiritually strong Adder. This is someone who is very psychically inclined. You know, maybe this is someone who dabbles in the metaphysical as well, which I'm not too surprised about since we do have this chakra pendant. You know, this is someone who maybe clears their chakras from time to time. Maybe the 2 of you have astral projected or visited each other in dreams. I feel like if you dream about this person, that was them visiting you. You know, if you've had a dream that was very real, that almost felt like when you wake up, you were like, wow, I visited Dan. That was real. That was genuinely them just checking in on you. And I feel like that's something that they tend to do a lot. I feel like this is someone, for the majority of you that picked this pile, this is just someone who watches your social media. This is someone who checks in on you from time to time. Maybe this is an ex that you really love. This could even be a past friend that maybe you guys had a falling out in the friendship, but regardless, they still check in on you. And I think that that's something that they will always be inclined to doing. And it's just because they care about you a lot. With Adder, they might even feel like you guys are still a little bit intertwined with one another. You know, maybe you guys' fates are not completely finished with one another. And that's very much how they feel. It's like, hey, we still have unfinished business going on. You know, you're still stuck with me. So maybe that's why they still check on you from time to time. But with Adder as well, I feel like there's someone who has very much kind of developed a strong relationship between both their divine masculine and their divine feminine. You know, they've learned how to sort of weave them together so intricately so that now they can make really educated decisions. They can make very well informed decisions as well. And I feel like that's something that maybe they struggled with a little bit in the past. This might be someone who struggled a little bit with committing in the past as well. This might be someone who is a little bit emotionally unavailable. But they're very much coming forward now and saying, hey, I'm changing that about myself. I'm someone who is growing. I'm someone who is developing. And I really hope that you would give me the chance again. What I really love about this energy is that they're saying, you know, I am changing. I am becoming successful. I'm becoming abundant. I'm becoming someone who could provide for you if you ever wanted me to. And it's a very interesting concept because, you know, while it can hurt, you know, when we have these fallings out or while we have these maybe misunderstandings that lead to no communication, it is really beautiful when we can put our differences aside and just hear one another out, right? And I feel like that's all this person really wants going forward. I feel like this is someone who just very much wants you to see them in a new light, like that John Mayer song, "You're gonna see me in a new light," right? But with Adder, again, it's very much like, I can't let you go. I can't let you go yet because I still feel like maybe we were meant to be together. We were meant to be together, baby. I'm not Mariah Carey, so, but with Bull, it's almost like they look at you because you're very joyful. You're very fair as well. I feel like you're someone who is incredibly independent, and they love that about you. You're someone who knows what they want, and maybe that's something that has always really inspired them going forward. Maybe in the past they were someone who tended to be a little bit jealous, and maybe that was even in regards to your career or in regards to how successful you are. Maybe you're someone who became successful very early in life, but you might be watching this video and be going, yeah, but I put a lot of work into being successful. Do you know how many hours I had to study, or how long I had to learn how to wood weave, this particular craft that I do? And I'm like, well, they think that it's very easy what you do, right? But that's the energy that you give off. You make things look very easy. You look very professional in everything that you do as well. And that's something that they feel a little bit jealous about from time to time. You look very well put together. You look like you have it all figured out and you understand life. And even though you're maybe watching this and saying, well, I don't, they're very much like, well, I mean, Samantha's got all this going on. She's pretty banging. Like, and maybe they compare themselves a lot, or maybe that's even something that they used to do. But now they're coming forward and saying, I'm making my own path for myself so that I can make these successes. Now, another thing that I really want to talk about is that both of these animals are going towards these really large rocks, right? So it's almost like they're saying this isn't without obstacle. This isn't without hardship as well. Maybe this is for a select few of you saying, when you guys parted, when you stopped talking and stopped having conversation, it wasn't exactly easy for them, right? It wasn't something that was a walk in the park, because they knew that they would have to go at this, with a completely new outlook and a completely new head on their shoulders. Maybe this was someone who realized, hey, I have a little bit of a temper tantrum, problem. Or maybe I'm someone who has a little bit of, an emotionally unavailability problem. Or, maybe I'm someone who tends to bulldoze over the people that I love. Especially with this bull energy, I feel like this is someone who in the past was very strong-willed and maybe even more dedicated to their own endeavors than the people around them. And I love talking about healthy selfishness, right? And achieving our goals and going towards the things that are very healthy for us. But at the same time, I feel like this person was being a little bit self-destructive, and they really realized that going forward. They've really worked on themselves, and I feel like it's very admirable about them. I feel like that's something that you should feel very proud about, even if you don't bring this person back into your life. I feel like you really did inspire them to be a better version of themselves and to go to that next level, in a very very happy, very compassionate, very understanding way. I feel like you were a spiritual teacher to them, honestly. I don't know why, but I feel like you just made them look at the world in a more upbeat way, in a more positive understanding as well. Maybe they're a little bit more optimistic as well going forward because of you. Now, with this drinking horn at the bottom of the picture, I'm very much being drawn to the quote from the corpse bride, "Your cup will never empty, for I will be your wine." They very much want to give to you. They want to, kind of maybe even gift you things. Maybe they want to take you out on dates. Maybe they want to sweep you off your feet. But they want to show you that they can provide for you, that they can give you these abundances. They want to be someone who can take care of you, maybe even take care of you when you're sick. Then they want to tell you that that's not like a burden to them. Maybe in the past they were someone who couldn't be bothered with that sort of stuff, and they want to come forward now and say, hey, I'm sorry for how I was. And that's something that I really want to touch on a little bit seriously, really quick. When it comes to forgiveness, people grow, and the same things that we would do now are not the same things that we would do maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Why? Because we grow, because we evolve, and we understand ourselves a little bit differently, and we understand the world a lot differently than what we did maybe when we were a teenager, maybe when we were a young adult. But that's the beauty in life, is that we can redeem redeem ourselves from these bad sort of circumstances. We can choose to take the high road. We can choose to, maybe try to show people again, I'm someone who is worth being trusted. I'm someone who is worth having in your life, right? And I think that that's such a beautiful energy going forward, is that this person is genuinely trying. So, while you may still feel these little tinges of, oh my gosh, this person doesn't deserve this, blah, 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 at least hear them out. It takes a very strong person to be able to admit that they're wrong and not have pride come in the way, because this may be someone who was very prideful in the past. You might even be watching this and be like, Jacob would never do this. Jacob would never apologize. But Jacob might, right? There's a very good chance that they might. So just to see this as an opportunity to maybe even just clear the air, maybe just to have a little bit of closure if they do come forward again. This might be someone who has Taurus in their chart somewhere. I'm just feeling a very earthy vibe. I feel like this is someone who loves to be a homebody. They love to be at home around the things that make them comfortable. Maybe they have a really decked out house, right? Just full of pillows and comfy things, because Tauruses are incredible with really, really comfy areas. And I think that that's something that you would really love about them going forward. But again, I just wanted to touch on, they're never too far away. I feel like they're always watching you, and they're always kind of watching over their shoulder, because maybe you're like, oh, they'll never message me, and they have their back turned to me, but that couldn't be any further from the truth. They're still looking, right? Another thing that I want to say is that maybe this person in the past, they're taking a little bit longer to get towards their goals than everyone else. And that's something that has frustrated them for the longest time. And maybe that was something that made them a little bit low energy in the past, or maybe even low vibration. And they want to tell you that that was nothing that had to do with you. I think it was more something that had to do with them at the time. Maybe even a family crisis that happened that they really just had to focus on, because we have this item at the bottom, and I know it's not a magnifying glass, but is what Spirit is really telling me to focus on, is that this is someone who is very over analytical. This is someone who over analyzes everything, right? So I feel like this is someone who puts themselves through the motions. Maybe they can put themselves in a little bit of a rut because of all of the thinking that they're doing, right? And I feel like, especially when it comes to their family members, this is someone who will completely drop everything that they're doing for them and for the people that they love. So, just kind of when this person comes back, know that it was something that they genuinely thought about a lot, and they didn't know, when to do it. Maybe this is someone who's waiting for the right moment as well, is kind of the feeling that I'm getting with this card. But regardless, this is someone who is very strong-willed and very dedicated. So, going on to your next two cards, these are your Firefox Kitsune cards, and these are talking about messages from their higher self to you. So we have number 5, the golden moment. Oh my goodness, that's awesome, because remember how I was just talking about how they're waiting for the right moment to be able to approach you and to be able to kind of make this declaration of love and this declaration of acceptance, and be like, hey, I'm sorry, I did this, I did that, and maybe they're like, hey, I'm just waiting for the right time, but it is gonna come. It is gonna come around soon, maybe even in spring for some people. We also have number 1, the richness within. So I find both of these cards extremely beautiful, but especially the richness within. I feel like they see you as someone who has a lot of opportunities and a lot of other potential suitors around them. They see you as someone who is very abundant, very beautiful, very, very radiant as well. Now, I feel like for some of you, maybe fall is going to be very important, and some of you very much spring. This might even be the time of year that both of you were born. Maybe one of you is September. Maybe that's why we have a lot of earthy energy as well. Maybe you have a Virgo in here. And the other one is spring. So I honestly feel like we might have a Taurus. That's also Taurus energy, because that's April. So maybe both of you are kind of earthy energy. Maybe one of you is fiery energy as well, because I feel like it almost looks like fire. It almost looks like she's birthing creativity, and also with all of these foxes, people are noticing, people are giving you recognition, and maybe there's someone who is realizing, like, they're not the only person that's in your eyesight. You have all of these options, and you're not going to just wait around for them, and that's something that they really love about you. There's actually a quote from Panic at the Disco, where it's like, I don't mind, take your time, I got things to do, besides sit around and wait for you. Oh, and I hope you do too. And I very much feel like that's the energy between both of you. Is like, don't wait for me, just keep going forward, be independent, and if we're meant to be together, we'll come back together at another point in time. But with the golden moment, I feel like this person genuinely is waiting for the perfect moment. Now, there is no perfect moment. Let me just say that first and foremost. There is never going to be a perfect time. It's just going to be whenever this person is feeling very successful and feeling abundant, because maybe you might be wondering, like, when they finally do come forward, well, why now? Why the 5th of March? And there's no significance to it, but other than the fact that they were feeling very comfortable in themselves. They were feeling like they could differentiate themselves from all the rest of these foxes, because if you'll notice, this fox is the only fox that's wearing clothes. This is the only fox that looks like a showstopper, right? Giving them the old razzle-dazzle, if you will. And it's very much also with the number 1, they see you as someone who is incredibly independent, someone who is self-reliant and can stand on your own 2 feet. So they have to really impress you. They have to really, really razzle-dazzle you in order to have you on a date, in order to even call you theirs, right? And especially if they maybe had a falling out with you in the past, or if they kind of disappointed you or let you down. I feel like they have a lot of making up to do. Maybe there's someone who's going to get you a lot of flowers. Maybe this is someone who's going to take you dancing, or maybe even offer to have your nails done. I feel like there's something that they're going to do where it's like an offering. Do you see how, almost with this lantern, but imagine if this was just an offering and it's like, well, I want you to have this, and they're just kind of touching their toes into the water, like, is this a good decision? Should I do this? But they know that it's going to implement a lot of change with the number 5, and this is someone who is all about growth. They're all about change, and they want to be able to have change with you. They want to be able to have growth, and they want to be able to have a better relationship. Now, you guys' relationship isn't going to be the same as before. I feel like it's going to be better if you guys decide to work on it and decide to, maybe try again. I feel like there is going to be a lot of magic. I feel like there is going to be a lot of kind of momentum that's going to be built up, but it's going to be good because everything's going to be aired out. It's almost like Festivus, where you're airing your grievances. Maybe you guys are going to have one really big grievance airing, and you'll be good going forward. But regardless, with the richness within, they also want to talk about how much you shine on your own, and that's something that they really love when watching your social media, because I feel like this is someone who genuinely watches you from afar and watches you online, right? They might have you on Snapchat, they might have you on Facebook, and they might not ever like anything of yours, but they're always looking. Rest assured, they're seeing those heels, right? They're seeing that 5-course meal you had the other night with Antonio. They're seeing it all, right? But they want to say that they love that you are flourishing and that you are shining and that you're doing you, right? And that's something that they find so brilliant and so breathtaking. And I feel like they're very much saying, like, just wait until I'm at this level. You haven't even seen me in my final form yet, you fool. But they very much want to come forward and impress you. So going on to these next 2 cards, these are your Angels and Ancestors cards, and these are talking about more information on your secret admirer. So we have Great Teacher, oh my goodness, and Stargazer. So I very much feel like that's your energy first and foremost as well, that this person is very spiritually aware and spiritually inclined and more empathetic because of you, right? I feel like you're someone who was a little bit of maybe an enlightenment to this person. Maybe you caused them their dark night of the soul, and it really caused them to open their eyes. They're someone who really can walk a mile in another person's shoes. Now they're more empathetic. It's almost like overnight they really understood how to be more compassionate, and more understanding. But it says learn from spiritual experiences, and being with you was definitely a spiritual experience for them. I think that they look back very fondly on your time together. I feel like maybe if you guys went camping or if you guys just went out and did something, they look back and they're very nostalgic. Even if this person were to go into another relationship, I feel like they'd always have this admiration for you. It doesn't even have to be like, where they're constantly like, oh, I wish they'd go out with me. It's more like I'm very happy that that happened. I'm very grateful that I had the opportunity to be with this person for the time that I did. You know, and it's just such a beautiful energy to have. Now with Stargazer, it says, set your sights higher. So I very much feel like this is someone who, you know, again, sky's the limit. They're focusing on their goals. They're focusing on their dreams and their aspirations and the things that they're very much, you know, are very passionate about. Maybe even their hobbies. Maybe this is someone who wants to make a career off of their art, off of all of their entrepreneurial kind of energy that they have going on. I feel like this is someone who can definitely take care of business by themselves. But at the same time, when they do come forward, I feel like this is going to be a message. You know, maybe they're going to message you through social media, and it's going to start out very small as just a peace offering, right? But if they receive an olive branch back from this dove/pigeon, you know, they're going to be very excited. They're going to take that as the green light to be able to talk to you more. And it's not going to be a pigeon that they send this time. It's going to be them literally giving you their favorite telescope, you know, that Nostradamus literally handcrafted for them 10 years ago, and they don't want to let go of it, you know, but they love you enough, so they're gonna let you borrow it, right? Excuse me, do you want to borrow my telescope, please? But with set your sights higher as well, I feel like they're also saying, like, during this time, you know, they're going to keep going towards their goals. You know, they're not going to just sit around and pine for you. I feel like still they're very blunt. I feel like this is someone who's very straightforward, even if emotional conversations make them a little bit uncomfortable. You know, I feel like this is someone who's like, I'm still going towards my goals and towards my dreams, you know, and I hope that you're doing the same thing, right? So going on to these next two cards, these are going to be your transformation oracle cards, and these are talking about what this person wants with you. So we have the trickster card and the direction card. Whoop whoop. So the trickster card is really awesome. It's talking about they want to have fun with you. They want to have a very lighthearted time with you as well. You know, maybe this is someone who just wants to go to the movies. They just want to go ice skating. They just want to go out and have a good time. They want to forget about your worries, forget about the responsibilities or the burdens, because maybe in the past, you know, there were a little bit of burdens or a little bit of heaviness when it came to this relationship, and they want to change that. They want to morph all of that energy into something that's beautiful, maybe back into love, maybe into, maybe even into a really, really good friendship, right? But with direction, I feel like they're saying, like, I want to join you in life as you go forward with your goals and, you know, with your own direction, because they really appreciate how even in a relationship, you're someone who stays very independent. You're someone who can still very much go towards their own dreams. And they don't want to kind of encroach on that at all, but they want to be someone who will help you with your dreams. They want to be someone who will help push you in the right direction as well, while you also push them in the right direction. Because I feel like maybe this is also your energy and this is their energy, is that there's someone who is a little bit more, maybe they don't necessarily know what they want to do going forward, but at the same time, you're someone who very much does. You're someone who understands, oh, well, I have to go here, here, and here in order to get to my goal. And that's something that this person might really struggle with, you know? And it might also be because you're someone who is very straightforward. You can speak your mind, especially when it comes to relationships. You're just sort of like, yeah, well, this is how I feel. You know, while this person kind of beats around the bush, they wear a mask. Maybe this is someone who, you know, they just get very uncomfortable in those situations when having heart-to-hearts. And that's something that they really had to learn how to do going forward. But I feel like this is someone who, kind of coming back into your life, they would want to just have a lighthearted time. They would want to forget about the troubles. You know, they would want to just hear you laugh again. I feel like that's something that they really miss. They also want to travel with you with directions. This is someone who is very adventurous. They're very spontaneous. This is someone who might really love to just kind of plan these really big, lavish, romantic dates and take you out on them, right? Especially with the direction card, I feel like this is saying, I want to travel the world with you. I want to be able to go on a road trip, maybe just fill the tank with gas and just drive and see where we get. You know, it's very much the energy that we have here, but they want to very much be in their emotions while still being very childish about it, and not childish in like an immature way, but in a way that they're being fun-loving, in a way that they're looking at the situation as if it's brand new to them, as if you guys first met, right? You know, you still have your history, but they're not going to hold you to the same standards that maybe they did at another time. So going on to this next card, card, this is going to be your animal messages card, and this is talking about a trait or characteristic or quality that they really, really love about you. So we have Tiger, woohoo! So again, it's a card about leadership, which we actually covered with that number 1. It says you're being called upon to provide leadership, so trust that you're capable of doing so. You know, maybe you were someone in the relationship who would always say like, oh, well, this is what we have to do next, and they really miss you kind of bossing them around, right? But for some of you, I feel like it's you know, maybe kind of that energy, but regardless, this is someone who sees you as a leader, as a natural born leader, as someone who's very gifted, as someone who's very talented, someone who can definitely hold their own and not worry what other people are thinking. And I think that they just really see you as someone who is absolutely brilliant, especially when it comes to achieving their goals. With Tiger, I keep hearing a tiger never changes their stripes, and I feel like that's another thing that they very much admire about you, is that you are someone who hold your morals in a very strong capacity. You are someone who will always hold firm to your beliefs, you know, and you're someone who doesn't change just for anyone. You're not someone who gets into a relationship and is like, oh, well, suddenly I love apricot jam, and I've never liked apricots before. You know, you're someone who doesn't bend to other people that easily, and that's something that they really, really love about you. You know, it's very attractive that you have this very high self-worth. You know, you're someone who is not going to settle for less than you deserve, and they really, really love that. So going forward onto your next card, this is going to be your Animal Totem Tarot card, and this is talking about the overall energy of your secret admirer. So we have the King of Swords, woohoo! So this is eagle energy. So I feel like, again, this is someone who's always watching you with the eagle eye, you know, or from a distance. They have very good eyesight. They're just kind of watching you in a crowd like, ooh, I wonder what Diana's doing. I'm gonna go visit her at the Cinnabon factory today. But with the King of Swords, this is someone who has learned how to perfect communication. This is someone who is learning how to be a leader in their own right and how to be mature when it comes to coming forward with their emotions and with their feelings, because they already see you as the Queen of Swords, right? They already see you as their equal, as someone who is on the same level as them, maybe even someone who is a little bit more mature than them at the same time, which is very interesting. But regardless, with this eagle energy, I feel like this is someone who can be a little bit domineering, you know, from time to time, especially with that bull energy. And maybe that's something that if they came back, you would be like, hey, are you still like this? And I feel like they're not, you know? I feel like this is more of a front that they put on for everyone else. With this King of Swords also, I feel like they're coming forward with a game plan about what it is that they're going to say to you and what it is that they're going to do to change your mind, like kind of to prove to you that they're worth it, right? This is someone who has genuinely thought long and hard about impressing you, about maybe even wooing you, right? Because they want to make sure that you're completely sold on them. Also, I feel like this person really learned how to look at life with a brand new perspective going forward with this King of Swords energy coming up. I feel like this is someone who has really learned how to take care of themselves and how to hold down the fort by themselves, right? So going forward, we have the World card followed by the High Priestess and the Four of Pentacles. These are going to be your Crow Tarot cards talking about how they see you. So starting off with the World, it could literally be translated to, they think the world of you, but at the same time they see you as someone that they could end the cycle with. They see you as someone who they could very much tie up all those loose ends with, maybe get hitched, just kind of settle down, have a few cockatoos, maybe start a penguin farm, but regardless, they see themselves with you for the long term, you know, very happily. With the High Priestess as well, they see you as someone who is very intuitive, very spiritual, and they very much love that about you. Also someone who is incredibly balanced. With the High Priestess, they also see you as someone who doesn't tell everyone your business. You're someone who can tend to be a little bit closed off, but not in a bad way, right? I feel like you just kind of hold off all of your really juicy information for another time in another place. You're not someone who is going to spill all your own tea, right? But with the High Priestess, I feel like you're someone who always has something up your sleeve. You're someone who always has a game plan. You're someone who is very driven and very motivated. And you're someone who is almost like the master of your own destiny. And they love that about you, right? The fact that you are so driven and you know what it is that you want going forward. It's almost like you're your own queen. And the high priestess, that's what's wonderful about her, is that she's not even a queen. You know, she's not even a princess. She's not any kind of royalty. She has just anointed herself from her intellect, from knowing everything in her spiritual, education and in her spiritual advisory. She has learned all there is to know, and that is what has brought her to the high priestess. And that's something that they're really pointing out as well, is that you are an intellectual. You are someone who is very intuitive, but you very much keep both of them in harmony. You keep in harmony, the divine feminine, where it's more, spiritual, and also the divine masculine, where it's more maybe intellectual or logical, and you just weave them together so brilliantly and so beautifully, and that's something that they really love. Now, with the Four of Pentacles, they might see you as someone who holds on to money. Maybe you're someone who struggles with having enough money to pay the bills, but regardless, I feel like this might also be just holding on to burdens, maybe just holding on to past thoughts, or maybe even outdated beliefs on them. Maybe they're a little bit worried that if they came back, you would be like, yeah, well, I remember when you did this, this, and this, and you said you didn't like my best friend Linda at the time. Well, Linda remembers that. I told Linda 5 years ago, and I feel like that's the sort of energy that they're worried about coming back to, is that you are someone who would have already made up their mind without even listening to them, right? Without even hearing them out, or kind of knowing their reasoning or their understanding. Now, another thing that I really want to touch on is the fact that this is someone who is away from the city. For some of you, this is going to be a direct message, so I just wanted to kind of get this out there. Maybe some of you live in the mountains, maybe some of you live in the forest, or live kind of far away from this person, right? And you want to really reach out to them, or maybe they want to reach out to you, but there's this distance, right? And that's another thing that has kind of held both of you back. They're very much acknowledging that they want to travel to you, that they want to close that distance, they want to close that space. And especially with the high priestess, maybe they visit you again, through astral projections, through your dreams. They still have that contact, even if it isn't in this kind of in your bodies, in your 3D form. But regardless, they see you as someone who is incredibly smart. You have a very good head on your shoulders, and you're someone who can complete your own cycle as well. Even if you're someone who, isn't in a partnership, I feel like you're achieving your own goals by yourself and independently. If that's something that they also really love, right? So going on to these next 4 cards, these are going to be your Game of Thrones cards, and these are talking about what they want with you going forward. So we have the Queen of Spears in reverse, followed by the Fool card, the Knight of Coins in reverse, and also the Four of Coins in the upright. Again, oh my goodness, look at them. Okay, so starting off with the Queen of Spears in reverse, they don't want to have just a really passionate relationship with you. They want to have something that is very stable. They want to have a new beginning, even, something that is going to be kind of worked on, something that's going to bring a very solid foundation going forward. Now, with the Knight of Coins in reverse and the Four of Coins, again, I feel like it's that energy of, but if I come forward with this new beginning and, being very honest with you, being very open and truthful, maybe you're a little bit like this dragon, and it's like they're Tyrion and they're coming towards you like, well, I just wanted to apologize, right? And you're like, well, I don't know if that's a very good idea, just kind of staring them down. And maybe that's what they're a little bit worried about, is that they're just letting their intuition guide them and lead the way, and maybe they feel like they're walking right into a dragon's den, and maybe they feel like, they just kind of have to use their intuition and their wit to get them out of this situation and out of this really bad spot with you, right? Because they feel very uncomfortable in this. They want to have a brand new opportunity with you. Now, with the Knight of Coins in reverse, this is talking about, maybe you're someone who doesn't want to take their new opportunity. Maybe you're someone who, won't even hear them out. Maybe you're someone who is like just going to hold on to the past and hold on to things. But at the same time, I feel like they really do want this new opportunity with you. They really just want to talk to you. So don't feel pressured at all to bring this person back into your life full time. This isn't what this person wants whatsoever. offer. You know, they're coming towards you with no motivations, with no expectations at all. They're just coming forward with this declaration of love and with this declaration of, you know, maybe even why can't we be friends? You know, why can't we start over brand new, you know, and have this brand new connection and just see where it takes us, right? Maybe this is someone who just wants to come back into your life to be friends because they really miss your energy. Maybe this is someone who just really misses you being in their life, being kind of an asset, right? And I don't want to say that in a cold way, but I feel like you really were, you know, you were someone who really brightened their life up, and they really respected you in so many different ways, right? And I feel like maybe that's why they continue to watch you, why they continue to keep tabs on you, because you are someone who is incredibly important to them. They want to make sure that you're doing okay. If you are someone who is struggling with money, you could always go to them and say, hey, you know, I really need X amount, you know, and they would give it to you regardless, is kind of the feeling that I get, because they see you as someone who does hold on to money. They see you as someone who, you know, if you're a single parent, they want to be able to come in and kind of help you to kind of lift that burden as well. But they see you as someone who is independent. Maybe even someone who feels like, hey, I don't really need that. You know, I don't need someone to come in here, you know, and try to swoop me off my feet. You know, I'm someone who can take care of myself. And that's not what they want. You know, maybe you'd even say that to them and they'd be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's not what I wanted at all. Whoa, right? But with the Knight of Coins in reverse, you don't have to take what they're giving you at all. But, you know, at least hear them out. You have all of these pentacles. They see you as someone who is already very abundant. So why would you even want to take their pentacle, right? Is kind of how they're feeling going forward. So really do know that when they come forward with this apology, that they're not necessarily looking at it with expectations or looking at it with ulterior motives, right? This is just kind of someone who wants to clear the air and someone who just doesn't want any bad blood anymore. So going on to your next few cards, these are going to be your Glow Glow Tarot cards, and these are talking about what they like about you. So we have the Two of Swords, the World card again, followed by the Knight of Wands in reverse, the Two of Wands in reverse, and the Queen of Pentacles. All right, so with the Two of Swords in reverse, they love that you're someone who is always making up your mind. You know, you're not someone who gets stuck on things very easily. You're not someone who, you know, or at least that's how you make it look. You look like someone who, you know, can take care of business without even having to think twice. You know, you just immediately know what to do, and they love that about you. They love how resourceful you are. They love how you're so strong-willed, how you're someone who is resilient, how you're someone who always perseveres and kind of gets yourself to that next situation, even if it's very tough, even though it's very hard. You know, they very much have a lot of respect for you, for everything that you do going forward. Now, with the World card, again, we have an eagle up here. Remember how I was saying that they're a little bit like an eagle, you know, they have that eagle eye on you. They're always watching over their shoulder, and if you were to just kind of turn around, they would always be there. But they see you as someone, again, you know, who can be the end of the cycle for them, someone that they could get married to, someone they could settle down with. You know, not to sound cliche, but I very much feel like that's the energy that they feel towards you. They also see you as someone who has been through a lot of changes and a lot of cycles throughout your lifetime. You know, someone who has had to be very strong and also vulnerable, someone who has had to be able to be very logical and make these decisions, you know, how to kind of rely on communication, someone who has had to maybe even focus in on maybe themselves, you know, a little bit of human worldly selfishness, you know, healthy selfishness, to be able to grow themselves in this lifetime, to be able to learn your lessons. You know, they see you as someone who is able to implement all of these lessons and all of these wisdoms as well, to become extremely well balanced. They see you as someone who is very ride or die as well. They know that you're someone who doesn't want a fling. You're not someone who wants just some sort of situationship. You're wanting a very long-term commitment, and you know exactly what it is that you want, especially with the Two of Wands in reverse. I love that both of these twos are in reverse right now, because it's like, yes, you're still in balance. You're someone who is incredibly balanced, but you also know what it is that you want. You know, you're not stuck on things. You're not kind of wondering, well, where should I go? You know, you're someone who knows what you want. You know what it is that you want out of a partner. You know what it is that you want out of a career. Now, with the Two of Wands in reverse as well, It's almost like you've already had this time where you've contemplated, where you've thought about it. Maybe even you're someone who matured a lot faster than those around you, so you always kind of knew what it was that you wanted to pursue. But you are also someone who is very self-confident. You are someone who knows themselves on the inside and out, and that's really wonderful, especially in regards to knowing what it is that you want to do for career, or, you know, maybe even just in regards to pursuing your dreams and pursuing your aspirations. With the Queen of Pentacles as well, you could again have Earth in your charts, Virgo, Taurus, or Capricorn, although it does not have to be. But with the Queen of Pentacles, they see you as someone who is incredibly stable, incredibly successful, and someone who values their wealth, someone who values their successes and values their abundances. And maybe you kind of see people as investments for some of you, and you're just sort of like, is this a good investment? It's almost like a Shark Tank. You know, is this something that I want to go in on? And they really love that about you, that you know your self-worth and you're not going to settle for anything less than what you deserve. You know, you see yourself in a very healthy way, in a very beautiful way, and that's the way that they see you as well, is that you are literally a goddess on earth, regardless of if you are male or female. You know, they see you in that divine feminine energy. They see you as nurturing, as compassionate, maybe even the mom friend who is always carrying around band-aids, you know, or maybe you always have snacks, or you have toilet paper in your car, or you have extra water in your car, but you're always looking after everyone. You always have maybe even enough. Maybe you're someone who always carries maybe gum around, and you always have enough gum exactly for everyone in the group. But you're always thinking ahead. You're always thinking of others as well, and that's something that they really love about you. They love that not only do you take care of yourself, but you're very generous towards people that are in need. You're very generous in general, and that's another thing that they really, really love about you, right? I feel like they just admire you overall, just as a whole, and, you know, regardless of if this is romantic or platonic, I feel like they hold you in such a high regard. You know, they really look up to you. I feel like they just really, really enjoy your presence as well. So going on to your last few cards, these are your Enchanted Tarot cards, and these are talking about any closing messages that they have between you and them. So starting us off, we have the Ten of Wands, followed by the Emperor card, the Two of Swords again, followed by the Ace of Swords, the Empress card, and the Two of Pentacles. All right, so a lot of twos again. So again, it's talking about balance, it's talking about partnership, it's talking about union and coming back together and kind of finding common ground and kind of compromise at the same time. Now with the Ten of Wands, it's talking about burdens, responsibilities, maybe even things that weighted you down, the weight of living. This could also just be feeling overburdened, feeling overworked in this relationship or in this situation, and they don't want that anymore. They want this cycle to end. They want it to be fun loving and carefree and, you know, just feeling good going forward, especially since we have both the Emperor and the Empress, right? This is a big deal to be able to have this match, to be able to have this perfect partnership. But do you notice the two cards that are in between them that separate them? And that is kind of the hurdle here, if you will, right? Is that there still needs to be this conversation. There still needs to be this talk, this really healthy conversation going forward. With the Two of Swords, I feel like this is someone who is going to come forward to you, and they're going to be, you know, with their little peacock feather, and they're going to be like, hey, this is what I think, and I'm sorry, but, you know, this is what's going on, and you're coming at them with an actual sword, with the Ace of Swords, because if we could look at it this way, where she has the sword and he has the peacock feather, you know, he's just sort of like, wow, I'm at a real disadvantage here. I'm really opening myself up to be hurt. You know, and I feel like they're really trusting not only in themselves, but also in you, that you're not going to do that to them, that you're going to hear them out. You know, I keep hearing the song, don't make a fool of me, it'd be too easy, a fool of me for loving you deeply, right? But I very much feel like it's that sort of a vibe. Now, with the Two of Swords, it's like they're stuck on this situation. They're stuck on, should I proceed forward? Should I make this action? Should I, you know, kind of go forward with them? Or should I not have this conversation? Should I not have this clarity with them? And I feel like that's what you're going to bring, is you're going to shed a lot of light on the situation for them. I feel like if you're someone who doesn't want to be harmony with them. It might at least be nice to talk to them about what your expectations were for this relationship or for this friendship, and how maybe they let you down, or maybe how they didn't necessarily understand what it was that you wanted. But talk about it in a very healthy way. Don't point the finger, don't place any blame, because I feel like there was a lot that was going on under the surface. It wasn't just black and white with them. I don't think that they were someone who was like, well, I'm just gonna ignore Rebecca and I'm gonna do that. I feel like this is someone who maybe had a lot going on in their family life, when you guys had a falling out, or when this was a little bit of a difficulty, and they just kind of want to come forward and talk to you because they see you as someone who is in harmony with themselves, someone who is harmony in general. You bring a lot of joy into their life. You're someone who can implement both your mind, your body, and your spirit, all into one, so that you can have really wonderful decision-making skills. And with the Two of Pentacles leading us out, this is very, very much talking about, finding balance. And in this deck in particular, it can also be talking about illusions. And remember how originally with the Trickster card, we were talking about how this person was wearing a little bit of a mask at the beginning. Well, I feel like maybe this is also talking about having clarity about taking that off and saying to them, like, well, make sure that you're being honest. Maybe even having a face-to-face conversation with this person would really help. Maybe even having a phone conversation or a Skype conversation. I feel like though you guys will do really well in this heart-to-heart talk, there will be a lot of balance that's brought from it. I also want to point out that we have two snakes on this card, and the Adder card is two snakes that are intertwined together. So I just thought that that was really interesting. So regardless if you decide to stay intertwined or kind of go your separate ways, I feel like this is someone who is always going to admire you from afar. This is someone who is always going to really appreciate you and appreciate all that you do, because you are the perfect person in their eyes. You are the ultimate divine feminine. Again, regardless of if you are male or female, they see you as someone who is nurturing, someone who's understanding, someone who's intuitive, someone who can hold it down, right? And kind of their perfect partner, someone who always thinks about their needs, someone who is sensitive, sentimental, and just everything that's good in the world, right? So with that energy, I very much feel like the decision is yours. The power is yours is very much the energy we have here. But thank you so much, Stack One. I had so much fun drawing these cards up for you. I hope that I have the opportunity to read for you in the future. I actually just got a new website. All of my spreads are 10% off in case you wanted to get a reading with me. So go ahead and get that while that is still up. But also check out my Etsy. Links are in the description box down below. Make sure to leave a like and a comment down below if you enjoyed this. Also hit subscribe if you have not already, and the notification bell to be updated every time that I upload a brand new video. But yeah, I hope that you are doing amazing, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, Stack One! Hello to everyone who picked Stack 2. Let's get right into your reading and see who is your secret admirer and why do they admire you. So starting off with your first two cards, these are your Druid Animal Oracle cards, and these are talking about the overall energy of your secret admirer. Woohoo! So starting us off, we have the Salmon card and the Dog card, which are really awesome cards to start off with. So Salmon right off the bat is talking about someone who is incredibly spiritual. I feel like this is someone who has a live and let live sort of an attitude. They just kind of go with the flow, right? Because every year when it's around mating season, salmon have to travel upstream to be able to mate, right? And with that sort of an energy, they're jumping out of the water and they're like, Jerry, where are we going? And Jerry, the other salmon, has no clue where they're going, but they're still traveling to the same area. They just kind of have to trust that everything's going to work out the way that it's supposed to, and that they're going to end up in the right space for them. Now, with this energy of salmon as well, I feel like this is someone who is incredibly intuitive. They're very spiritual. This might be someone who is clairaudient, maybe even clairvoyant, maybe even empathetic or clairsentient. With all of this water energy too, because in both cards we have water imagery, I feel like they're very sensitive. I feel like they're very sentimental at the same time. They're very in tune with their emotions, which makes them very in tune with others. I feel like they're very compassionate and understanding about emotions, so they're not the type of person to ever judge you when it comes to maybe showing emotions or maybe even crying, because this is someone who will cry in front of you. I feel like for the most part, this could be a friend that you have, or maybe even someone that you know online. It could even be someone who just kind of follows you around online like a lovesick puppy. Maybe this is someone who you work with that follows you around like a lovesick puppy, maybe someone at school, at university. But regardless, I feel like they're very loyal. And when they like someone, it's very hard for them to see any other people, you know? And I feel like that's a very wonderful energy for them to have going forward, you know, because they do get very focused on one person. But with this dog energy, they might be a little bit codependent from time to time. You know, they might get a little bit lost in the person that they're with. So they have to be able to hone in on themselves and hone in on their emotions and on their sensitivities. I feel like this person is an artist. Maybe this is someone who has master number 11 somewhere in their numerological charts, you know, maybe as their full number, or maybe just their first name, maybe their last name. But regardless, I feel like the number 11 makes this person up. You know, they are very balanced, they're very understanding, but they're also someone who has very strong morals and a very strong attitude towards how the world should work as well. I feel like this is someone who has very intense perspectives, and not intense in a bad way. I feel like a very good way. This is someone who would make an amazing world leader. This is someone who would make, you know, just an amazing someone who might be a mediator. There we go. That's the word that I was looking for. But this is someone who can find common ground with others. They can find compromise. This is someone who doesn't mind coming to a compromise with other people. And that's something that you're really going to love about this person if you ever end up maybe meeting them. For some of you, I feel like this is someone that you haven't met. But at the same time, I feel, oh, maybe this is someone for some of you that like checks you out at the grocery store. Like they're at the cash register and, you know, they're always checking you out and you're like, wow, Derek's always looking at me, right? But regardless, I feel like they're very, very happy about all of the interactions that they have with you. But again, you know, there's someone who is very emotional. Maybe they overthink everything because of the fact that they are very much in their feelings. I feel like if you ever dated this person, they would be the type of person who would pull you aside and say, hey, can we have a feelings jam? Can we have a talk? You know, can we maybe ruminate on these things together? But I feel like this is someone who is a team player, someone who will never abandon you, someone who will always be on board, whether this be for career or maybe just in regards to moving. This is someone who isn't going to fight too much in regards to that. This is someone who's very adaptable, I suppose is the best way to put it, because both of these animals are very adaptable. I mean, salmon can travel for miles upon miles and be completely happy when they get to that spot. While dogs, you know, wherever their owner goes, you know, they're very happy. They could be traveling to a new state, a new country, maybe even a new planet, right? And dogs would just be like, yes, this is the best. Oh my gosh, me and my owner are out on a day trip, right? And that's the sort of energy that this person has. I feel like their energy is very infectious too. I feel like this is someone who is always making you laugh, someone who is a little bit of a class clown. Maybe they post really funny posts online, but at the same time, I feel like this is someone who is very respectful. I feel like this is someone who doesn't push boundaries. They don't push their limits with people too, and I feel like that's something that you would really love about this person going forward. Now with dog, I'm really being drawn to his nails as well. I feel like this is someone who takes care of themselves, right? I feel like this is someone who makes sure their nails are trimmed, make sure that their hair is done. Regardless of male or female, they just take really good care of themselves, and you know, they're very well groomed. Maybe this is someone who likes to take pictures of themselves, you know, and it's not even in a narcissistic light, right? I think that they're just very proud because maybe in the past this is someone who was very hard on themselves. Maybe this was someone who didn't necessarily like the way that they look, so that's why they show themselves off now, because they're very happy with what they have to offer, and maybe they even feel like you would notice them, you know, senpai, notice me. And that's kind of the energy that we have with the dog as well, is that they want to get your attention. You know, they want to have your undivided attention going forward. So going on to these next two cards, these are going to be your Firefox Kitsune cards, and these are going to be messages from this person's higher self to you. So we have number 28, Transcendence, and number 39, Beneath the Surface. All right, so it almost makes me think that this person is saying, like, I want to transcend what is beneath the surface. You I want to be able to transcend from that, to get to the next level with you, to not just be, kind of tiptoeing on the surface with you when it comes to how I'm feeling, when it comes to maybe even our conversations. Maybe this is someone who wants to have a very intellectual conversation with you, maybe even a very emotionally driven conversation with you. Maybe they just want to reach out and be like, Jessica, I've always had a fascination with you. But with number 39, this would be the number 12, which would be the number 3. This is talking about they want to have harmony with you. They want to come together with you. It's also talking about they're finding harmony within themselves and within their emotions before they come towards you. Maybe they don't want to just kind of come towards you all willy-nilly and potentially scare you off. With that sort of an energy, their emotions can get a little bit choppy. I feel like this is someone who can be a little bit moody. Maybe they have a little bit of water energy in their chart somewhere. This is Cancer, Pisces, or Scorpio. But I feel like, they're very overwhelmed with them at times. Maybe this is someone who is very daydreamy too, and they can kind of get lost in their daydreams. And that's something that can maybe make them put their plans on the back burner. Maybe they're always saying like, oh, well, maybe I'll write to them tomorrow, maybe I'll write to them later tonight, but they're so concerned about, what if you reject them? What if you say, oh, well, no. But regardless, they feel very good about you. With beneath the surface as well, I feel like they're saying like, even though I act maybe like disinterested, even though I act, maybe like I'm really aloof, I'm watching you from afar, because again, this is someone who feels their emotions very deeply. So they don't want to just say to you, Jessica, I've been watching you from afar from aisle 35 all these years and you've never even noticed me, because that might come off a little bit strange. But regardless, they do have a lot of emotions for you. I feel like they really would want to take you out on a date. They really would want to show you off. I feel like they see you as someone who is incredibly beautiful. Both of these pictures have these like really long flowing hairs, and it makes me think that maybe those of you that picked this pile, maybe you have longer hair. Maybe you're someone who just really loves that sort of a style. But regardless, that's something that they really notice and take notice of when they see you, is just how well put together you are as well, because that's very important to them. They always like to look their best. They always like to put their best foot forward. So they want a partner that is also going to be that way towards them, someone who's going to make themselves look nice, someone who is going to, just take care of themselves, and not even for another person, just because it makes them feel good. And that's the energy that they get about you, is that you're independent. Everything that you do is for you. Everything that you do is for your own enjoyment, and that's something that they really love about you. Now, with number 28, Transcendence, this would be the number 10. This would be talking about coming to the end of a cycle. I feel like they're saying, I want to transcend from what we are now. I want to be able to come forward with communication. Maybe even take that leap of faith towards you, even though it's something that will be very scary and maybe even be a little bit uncomfortable. I want to be able to reach out and talk to you. Maybe this is someone who has just really, really liked you for a long time from afar, but they've never had the confidence to be able to start up that conversation. Maybe in passing they've been like, excuse me, and they're pushing their book cart because they're the librarian, but you acted like, yeah, okay, that's fine. And maybe you thought that they were abrupt, but honestly, they just were like trying to get a closer look at you. They were trying to get closer to you in general and really admire you. But I feel like with this secret admirer, it is someone that watches you from afar. It is someone who maybe they feel like they don't even necessarily have a chance with you. Maybe they feel like both of you are from different worlds, like a Little Mermaid scenario, where they're very watery and maybe you're this more earthy energy. You're someone who can stand on land. You're Prince Eric and they're Ariel. But with this, they also want to say, when I'm in harmony with myself, when I'm feeling really good, that's when I'm going to come forward, and that's when I'm maybe going to say something. But I feel like they would really appreciate, like, if you knew who this person was, genuinely, and you wanted to make a move towards them, and you saw them looking at you, you saw them appreciating you from afar, go up and strike a conversation, because they don't want to be stuck in this shyness anymore. I feel like this is someone who is incredibly shy. I feel like this is someone who maybe even is codependent on their friends, and they're not the type of person who will go out and actively ask for people's numbers. They're not the type of person who is going to approach someone and be like, hey, I like you, because they might be very shy. They might be very standoffish, and maybe they come off as very reserved or cold at times, but they want to get past that. They want to show you just how colorful and beautiful they really are. Now, do you see how as this fox is jumping down, it's almost like burning away all of this kind of border and showing us that there's this galaxy behind it. And that's the energy that they want to have with you. They want to break through all their timidness and show you just how vibrant they can be, you know, how much fun they can be as well. Maybe take you out for the night, right? Maybe take you dancing. So going on to your next two cards, these are your angels and ancestors cards, and this is talking about more information on your secret admirer. So we have drum and arrow. Woohoo! So starting us off with dream and journey. So this is someone who maybe they dream about you a lot. Maybe they've been trying to work with the law of attraction to literally bring you into their life. I don't feel like this is the type of person who is doing spell work, so don't worry about that. You know, I feel like it's more, you know, they've been trying to manifest someone who is well put together, someone who is understanding, who is compassionate, who is independent, who can take care of themselves. And you very much fit the bill. You know, you are someone who fit all of these requirements. Now with arrow, it says surround yourself with protective energy. And maybe this is that sort of energy that this person has, is that they have to protect themselves with their ancestors, with their spirit guides, and their patron gods and goddesses, you know, in order to go towards you because they're worried about being rejected. Maybe this is someone who is very protective of their heart and of their feelings and emotions, so they don't let people in all too easily. Maybe that's why we have so many kind of cards that are talking about being a little bit reserved and kind of sticking to themselves, even if they're a little bit codependent. And maybe that's why. Maybe they've been with people in the past that they've given a little bit too much power to over them, right? And that's gotten them into quite a few pickles. So when it comes to getting into a new relationship, maybe they're a little bit pickier in terms of finding that perfect person or finding the right partner. You know, they have to really look at someone with a fine-tooth comb. They have to really look at every scenario and every situation going forward. That actually brings us on to the next card, because I just looked over and it says reflection. So I feel like they have to be able to reflect for a while and say, you know, is this something that I really want going forward? Is this the relationship that would be perfect for me? Do you see how we have all of this beautiful glowing green energy coming out of her heart as well? That is the heart chakra energy, and also talking about healing. I feel like this is someone who has been healing their heart chakra and maybe interacting with you in a social setting, maybe even if they're a barista at Starbucks. This is the type of person who is, they feel healed after every interaction with you. You know, they feel like they can move on from a bad situation. They feel like they can find love again. They feel like they could potentially like open up their heart to someone else. And I feel like that's such a wonderful feeling, because with arrow as well, it makes me feel like they have guarded themselves for far too long, you know, and now is the time to really open themselves up to a connection. And this is what they want to have with you. They want to be able to have a connection with you. They want to be able to have this union, you know, and they want to be able to still pursue their own dreams and their own ambitions, but they want to, you know, maybe just ask you out. But I feel like it's also in a way that it's not just daydreaming, because I feel like they're worried that they daydream about you almost not too much, but in a way that isn't going to be realistic with the way that you actually are. And it's almost like they don't want to make expectations that are going to be letting them down if you're not like that, right? So I feel like this is someone who has a really good head on their shoulders. Even though they are very hopelessly romantic and they are someone who daydreams a lot, they're also not the type of person who is going to kind of force a role on you in their head. So, you know, they're not going to be mad if when you guys do hang out, you know, you're not to a T what they imagined you to be, because sometimes people can say, oh, okay, well, I expect Alice to be like this, this, and this, and then when they go on a date, you find out that Alice burps and like Alice like eats with her mouth open, and you know, that's just how she is. You know, she's a fun person to be around. She's compassionate, she's understanding, she's a hoot, she tells the greatest dad jokes on the planet, right? But at the same time, it's not the person that they imagined. Maybe they were expecting someone who was very shy, very timid, very quiet, you know, very meek, you know, and that's just not how Alice is. And that's very much how they feel about you, is they're like, you know, I want to see the situation as a whole, you know, and really understand this person. I don't want to just have it be what I fantasized to be about them, you know. I don't want it to just be my fantasy or my daydream, right? So going on to the next card, this is going to be your animal messages cards, and this is talking about what they like about you the absolute most. So we have blue heron, woohoo! It says, make a stand for what you believe in and do what feels right in spite of any judgment or disapproval from others. So I feel like you're someone who can definitely stand your ground, especially when it comes to your beliefs, when it comes to the things that you're really firm on. I feel like you have a lot of really strong leadership qualities in you. And also with all of this orange, I feel like you're someone who's very passionate, you're very dedicated, especially to your goals, but at the same time, you're someone who isn't going to let anyone put you down. You're not someone who is going to allow others to say, oh, well, I don't think you could cook this dish. You'd go out there, you'd buy the ingredients, and you'd find a way to cook that dish. You're someone who is always pushing yourself to the next level, regardless of if anyone thinks that you should or not. You're someone who is always achieving the impossible and always striving to achieve the impossible at the same time. And that's something that they really admire about you, is that sky's the limit with you. You're someone who can definitely speak your truth in a very compassionate and understanding way, but in a way that gets across to people like, I'm not someone to be walked all over. I'm not someone who is going to be put into a corner, right? So going on to these next two cards, these are your animal totem cards, and these are talking about the overall energy of your secret admirer summed up. So we have the Four of Cups and the Five of Wands. Now, these are two really interesting cards to have because, again, this might be someone who is very defensive from time to time when it comes to their heart and when it comes to connections in general. This is someone who has been hurt in the past. This is someone who knows what it's like to maybe be taken out for a ride, have their heart kind of used and abused and then given back to them almost like a tissue. And they're sort of like, look, I'm never having this happen again. And they don't want to come off super defensive to people, but at the same time, they don't want people to just think that they're open to just dating anyone, right? They have to be able to have a connection with someone. And I think at that same level, they don't want to have a connection with someone where they just like the person for the way that they look or for the way that they dress. They want to be able to have something that is very complementary to them at the same time, which actually brings me back to these two transformation oracle cards, which is talking about fire and water. I feel like you both are very complementary to one another because when one of you gets too hot, the other one can cool that down, and vice versa. When one of them has maybe a little bit too excess of emotions, this one can kind of burn it off. So I feel like you guys would very much complement each other nicely, or at least that's what they think, with being your secret admirer, with kind of loving you from afar, right? But with the Four of Cups, I feel like there's someone who has turned down a lot of romantic offerings. I feel like this is someone who, they don't have a shortage of people who want to date them by any means. This is someone who has a lot of opportunities, especially when it comes to love. They have a lot of chances right around the corners in regards to finding a relationship, but they never feel like it's quite the right fit for them or it's quite the right partner. And I feel like they could tend to be a little bit hard on themselves as well, not just with the partners that come forward to them and are like, hey, can we start up a brand new romance? But I feel like they're also really defensive about themselves. Maybe they feel like, why would this person come forward to me and why would they be interested in me? Why would they potentially be my secret admirer, right? Maybe for a while for this person, they had a little bit of low self-esteem, and maybe that's even why we have this dog energy here, because this is someone who finds worth in, taking action for other people and being dependent on other people. Maybe this is someone who feels very comfortable, and maybe even the most comfortable when they have someone who is not necessarily bossing them around, but someone who is overseeing things for them, right? It makes them feel a little bit more comfortable. Maybe just even the idea of having to go out of their way, like to try something brand new with someone that they don't necessarily know or they don't know their motive, someone absolutely brand new, makes them feel a little bit uncomfortable, makes them feel nervous. And maybe that's really why they like the idea of just kind of watching you from afar, right? Is because then they don't have to let their guard down. They don't have to not be defensive, especially with this Five of Wands. This is talking about putting your walls up around people, especially with this honey badger. This badger is like, I've had enough. I'm putting my foot down. This is the last straw. Because all he wants is like a drink from that well, and then he'll be on his merry honey badger ways. But with this kind of person's energy as well, they might come off a little abrupt. They might come off a little bit kind of gruff or a little bit rough around the edges, right? but I think they mean well for the most part. I think that this is someone who is very daydreamy. I think that this is someone who, again, they've had their heart broken in the past, but it's because they've had really high expectations and high hopes on what their relationship should be like, or, you know, what their partner should be like going forward. So it's something that they don't do anymore. You know, it's something that they've definitely learned to maybe keep under wraps, is their excitement when getting into maybe a crush on someone brand new, because I feel like this is someone who people catch their eyes very easily, almost like something very sparkly to an octopus, if you will. So with the Four of Cups, we're going right back into that watery energy with the octopus. And this is a really awesome animal because this is talking all about shape-shifting and kind of blending in with your environment. I feel like this is someone who is a wallflower. This is someone who tends to do things by themselves. They like to be very independent, and maybe that's even also why they have declined a lot of romantic offers that have come their way. You know, it's definitely not to say that this person isn't appealing to a lot of other people, but it is to say that they maybe have high standards, or maybe this is someone who is just a little bit high maintenance, and they'd rather see themselves happy by themselves than to be with another person. You know, maybe partnerships are a little bit too hard for them, so it's easier for them to just kind of like people from afar. You know, maybe they're still a little bit emotionally unavailable, you know, and that's kind of the energy that we have going forward, is that they're very daydreamy. They can think about all of these different scenarios with the person that they really like, but at the end of the day, I feel like this isn't someone who is necessarily going to take action unless you really drop hints that you want them to, right? When they are interested in you, I feel like they're going to come forward, they're going to be very gallant about it, and they're going to be like, oh, hey, I have an extra movie ticket, do you want to go out with me and see this new movie? But at the same time, I feel like if they think that you are someone who isn't interested, then they're not even going to bother. But on that same note, I feel like if you know, kind of went up to them and maybe even was like, hey, I have an extra movie ticket, I feel like they would accept for you. But in the past, there's someone who has been very hard to get. So if you do end up with this person, let's say you guys just kind of meet and you bump into each other and you're like, oh, hey, I like going ice skating too, you know, and you guys make a date of it, I really feel like they wouldn't turn you down if you ask them out. And it's only because they find you so appealing. They find you to be a mystery, you know. I think that they really enjoy how mysterious you are, how in your power you are as well. You know exactly what it is that you want going forward, and that's something that they love about you because they also see it in themselves. They know what they want. They're very picky, I guess would be the best way to put it. With the Four of Cups and the Five of Wands, I think that this is a very picky person. So it takes a lot to impress them and get on their mind, but I feel like you are someone who definitely does just that. But it's also because you are someone who is very stable. I feel like you're someone who lives in abundance. Again, for some of you, maybe this is someone who works at the grocery store and you're someone who just goes in and you buy groceries. And maybe you do it in such a way that you almost look carefree about it. Like, you know you have the money in the bank, you know that you can check these out, and it's such a fulfilling feeling to be able to have enough money to cover all the groceries, to cover all the essentials and all the things that we need, right? And I feel like you're the type of person who doesn't ever not feel thankful and abundant for having those blessings. And that's another thing that they really love about you. Maybe you might notice that this is someone who is a little bit standoffish if you do kind of have a feeling of who this is. This is someone who might be a little bit reserved. Now, the interesting thing is that I'm not getting as many messages as I feel as stack 1. And I think it's because this person is a lot more reserved than the person in stack 1. You know, this person is very shy. This person is very quiet. They like to stick to themselves for the most part. And I very much feel like that would be something that might hold them back from potentially reaching out to you in the future, just because they don't want to be hurt. They don't want to get into a connection that could potentially Shrek them, right? So going on to these next 3 cards, these are your Crow Tarot cards, and these are talking about how they see you. So starting off with these 3, we have the Sun, woohoo, the 10 of Wands, and the Ace of Cups, woohoo. So these are really, really awesome cards. Oh my goodness. Honestly, I honestly don't even feel like this defensiveness would last very long between the two of you, because you see all this? We have the connection card, we have the Sun, we have the Ace of Cups. Need I say any more? This is incredible, right? Well, with the Ten of Wands, this is talking about there is going to be a lot of work that has to be put into this relationship. Maybe they know that it's going to be a little bit of a burden. Maybe they know that they would have to be able to get over their emotional unavailability. They would have to be able to get over that. They would have to be able to get over their shyness as well and talk to you and have very fulfilling conversations and heart-to-hearts with you. And that's actually why we have the Sun and the Ace of Cups. It's almost like I think that you're someone who is very upbeat, you're very friendly, you're very warm and inviting, and that's something that you don't necessarily see every single day in people, that you just kind of meet, that you pass by, that you're acquaintances of. Now, with the Sun, this is also talking about you bring me a lot of happiness, even if we only see each other passing, maybe through the park every morning, or maybe on the subway. You're someone who leaves a lasting impression on my mind for the rest of the day. You're someone who is just absolutely brilliant. You have an incredible smile. You're someone who is vivacious. You're someone who might even have a very infectious laugh, right? But you just have this very potent energy. You might even have Leo in your chart somewhere. But regardless, I feel like you're very fiery and very passionate. You might even do your hair very beautiful, because when I think of Leos, I think of people who have incredibly nice hair. And that brings us actually back to the dog card, talking about someone who is very well groomed, that you are also someone who is incredibly well groomed and you take very good care of yourself. Now, going on to the Ace of Cups. Wow. This is an incredible omen, Honestly, they want to have a brand new beginning with you. They want to, maybe even start a brand new connection. They want to start a relationship. They want to end all of this maybe back and forth, just kind of flirting with each other from across the aisles. But they want to end that. They want to get closer to you. They want to tell you that they admire you, that they think that you're the bee's knees, right? The Ace of Cups is honestly one of the best cards. With the Sun, you can't get much better than that. I think that this person would most definitely take you out on a date, maybe even wife or husband you up, right? If they had the opportunity. And maybe they even love how caring and compassionate you are. But with the Ace of Cups, it's also talking about abundance and talking about having more than enough. And that's very much the energy that you have, is that there is always more than enough going forward. And that's something that they really love about you. Now, going on to these next four cards, these are going to be your Game of Thrones cards, and these are going to be talking about what they want with you. What are their intentions going forward? So we have the Knight of Cups, the Queen of Cups, the Devil card in reverse, and the Magician card in reverse. Okay, so I think I actually put these down reverse. I think the Magician was supposed to go down this end, and then the Knight of Cups this way. So we're going to read it from right to left like a manga. Okay, so with the Magician card in reverse, followed by the Devil card in reverse, it's very much talking about I don't want to manifest something into my life that's just going to be about sensuality and passion. I want something that's going to be based on love. Now, it's almost like, look, the Knight is coming towards the Queen. They might even see you as someone who is elevated. She's so high above me. She's so lovely, right? Because this is the literal Knight being like, please, madam, will you take my cup of love? And maybe they're worried that she's going to ignore it, because do you see how this cup is kind of floating off into the distance? Like, it hasn't been claimed yet. It hasn't been taken. She's still deciding on if she's going to take it or not. But they see you as someone who is incredibly spiritual and someone who is incredibly meditative at the same time. Maybe they see you as someone who has a very, kind of strong, peaceful energy about you, right? Like maybe you could be a humanitarian. Maybe you're someone who sticks up for those that really need to be stuck up for. Maybe you're someone who could even be a teacher. You're someone who works very good with animals and children, and that's something that they really love as well, is how understanding and compassionate and loving you are. But that's why we have the Devil in reverse as well, is talking about I don't see this partnership as something that's going to be codependent, as something that's going to be unhealthy. I see it as something that's going to be very conductive, as something that's going to be very beautiful going forward. But at the same time, I feel like with the Magician in reverse, maybe there's a little bit lack of, kind of momentum on both sides, because maybe you don't know who this person is, and maybe they're just too shy to come forward to you because they think that you are out of their league. It's that sort of a vibe of, why would this person ever, potentially take their cup of love from me? And maybe that even goes back to this person's kind of insecurities and, not not being able to speak up their mind, especially when it comes to the person that they really find attractive. And maybe it's easier for them to, get all of these love offers and then just kind of pass them off and then snicker to themselves and be like, oh yeah, I'm really hot, but at the same time, they look at you and they're like, wow, this is someone that I genuinely want to offer my cup of love to. You just have such a beautiful disposition on life, and you just have such a beautiful way of looking at the world, and they really appreciate that about you. Again, I think it's also having to do with clothing. I feel like this is someone, look, we have more cups, so again, it could be a water sign. The water signs do genuinely tend to take very, very nice care of themselves. They always smell the best. I swear, every Cancer I've met has been the most amazing smelling person I have ever, came into contact with. So I feel like this person is really going to be a stickler for nice smells, nice colognes, nice perfumes. And that's something that you're really going to appreciate about them going forward, is that they always look very well put together. They always look like they put a lot of thought into their outfit and into how they look in general. So going on to these next few cards, these are going to be your Glow Tarot cards, and these are talking about what they like about you. What I like about you. You really know how to move on. Yeah. So with the Six of Swords, the Five of Cups, the Queen of Wands, the Five of Pentacles, and the Hermit. All right. So what do they like about you? They love that you're someone who can walk away from situations that no longer serve you. They love that you can walk away from any kind of feelings of lack or feelings of disappointment or sorrow. You're someone who's always looking on the bright side of life and looking to the next best thing. Especially with the Queen of Wands, they see you as someone who is very independent, someone who's very passionate, determined. Do you see how she has sunflowers just like in this sun card? This is very much saying double confirmation that you are someone who is very warm, you're very bright, you're very open, and you bring a lot of joy to many people's lives. I feel like you're an inspiration to a lot of people as well, because Queen of Wands, they are a living inspiration. They are someone who knows what they want. They travel the world. They're cultured. They're inspired. This is someone who is talented, who is creative. You're all that in a bag of chips. I mean, to be honest, you are not only the Queen of Wands, but you're the Queen of Cups as well. So how incredible is that to have two queens right off the bat? They see you as change and someone who could bring a lot of really good change into their life. Change for the better. Now, with the Queen of Wands and the Five of Cups, this is also them saying that they see you as someone who has reclaimed their power after maybe a devastating breakup, after maybe even something very brutal happening. I feel like it's just sort of your energy. One day they saw you very happy, and the next time they saw you, you were kind of mourning, and then they saw you again, and you were right back to 100%, and probably even a little better than before. It's almost like every single time you come out as a more improved version of yourself, and that's something that they really love. With the Five of Pentacles, what they also like about you is the fact that you just kind of do your own thing. Remember how I was talking about maybe this is someone who works at a local store that you go to? Maybe this is a librarian. With the Five of Pentacles, I'm being drawn to this man who's like, wait, Mildred, come on, wait, I'm trying to catch up with you. And she doesn't even hear him. Like, the snow is just capturing all of his sound and all of his noise, so she doesn't hear him whatsoever. And she's just minding her own business. She's trucking. She's out. She's outie 5,000. And he's like, wait, I can't move any faster on these crutches. And maybe that's the energy that they really like about you, is that you just mind your own business. You're not in there to, or even in life, you're not out to hear gossip. You're not out to be cutthroat with people. You're just out there to get what you need to go home, and live your life. And I think that they really love that about you. They love that you're very independent too. Maybe every time that this person has seen you, you've been by yourself. And when you haven't, maybe you've just been with your family. So maybe that's a really good omen as well, is that they think of you as someone who really doesn't have a significant other or doesn't have a partner, and they really want to swoop in and be able to do that. But they also maybe are a little bit intimidated by you, because not only do we have that fiery Leo energy, especially with the Queen of Wands, but we also have Virgo energy with the Hermit. So I very much feel like they see you as someone who loves their independence, who craves independence, maybe even someone who who, again, why would they be interested in me? Why would they be interested in taking my cup of love? I feel like this is someone who is very hard on themselves going forward. Maybe they think that you have a lot of opportunities in love, and maybe you have a lot of options going forward, and maybe that's something that really kind of makes them nervous, is that you could say to them, sorry, I already have a boyfriend slash girlfriend, you know, I already have someone in my life that's important to me, you know, and maybe they would feel really bad about even coming forward and asking you to go out to the movies or to go out mini golfing. But regardless, this is someone who just likes to be sure 100% before they make a move and before they go to that next level in the relationship, or, you know, even just making friends or making acquaintances. They don't want to come off as creepy, and they don't want to come off as desperate either, right? Because that couldn't be any further from the truth. So going on to these last few cards, we are going to be covering your Enchanted Tarot cards, and these are talking about closing messages in regards to your secret admirer. So we have the Seven of Hearts, the Seven of Wands. Oh my goodness, 2 sevens right off the bat, followed by the Hanged Man, the Seven of Swords. What? Oh my gosh, and the Sun. Okay, how perfect. Right off the bat, we have 3 sevens, and we also have number 12, which would be a 3. So we have 2 threes, which would be a 6 if we were to combine them. So overall, you know, this is very much talking about abundance and generosity and gratitude. I feel like this is someone who is very grateful for you, just kind of opening them up to love again. You know, maybe this is someone who has closed off for a long time because they didn't feel like there was someone who, you know, could match their level. You know, someone who was kind, someone who maybe genuinely looked out for others, or maybe someone who didn't have ulterior motives, someone who is just kind of surviving and doing their own thing. And that's what they really love about you. But with these sevens as well, 7 is a really awesome number, because if we were to break it down, we have the number 5, which is talking about change and implementing change to be able to evolve and have that growth that we really need, you know, and be able to have that wisdom. Now, we also have 2 left over then. So the 2 can be representing, you know, are we going to keep going down the same path, or are we going to go down a different path? Are we going to go down the less beaten path in order to have sweeter rewards, right? And sometimes the universe will hand us a machete and go, okay, well, there's all bunch of weeds on this, but as soon as you get to the end, you know, of chopping down those weeds and chopping down the branches, there's going to be something even better than that traditional route, you know. But you have the option. We all have free will to be able to make up our choices. So I feel like it's very much that feeling of, they know that they have a decision to make here. They can either go the less traditional way that they normally go and ask you to go out, you know, and potentially risk you rejecting them, or, you know, they could wait for a miracle to happen, wait for you to make a move, wait for you to hit on them, even though they know that that might take a long time, if not like forever, because again, they see you as someone who is out of their league. They see you as someone who is very bright, who is very warm and very loving, but again, they want to have a partnership with you. Notice how we have these 2 red-breasted robins sitting together. You know, they think that you guys are one and the same, you know, birds of a feather flock together, and that's really why they want to come forward to you, and why they might want to have a partnership with you. Maybe the 2 of you also wear similar clothing. Maybe the 2 of you like the same animes, the same TV, the same music. There's just something that the both of you share, and it brings a lot of happiness around. You know, maybe this is someone who would even want to start out as friends and then see where it goes from there. Now, with the 7 of Swords and the 7 of Hearts, these are both very interesting cards, because this one's talking about sacrifice and talking about, you know, having a lot of opportunities but feeling very confused about them. And maybe that's the energy of this person, you know, maybe having all of these opportunities. Well, I could sneak this person my number, I could just tell them, hey, I like you, you know, I could do this, I could do that, and maybe there's so many options that they're just laying in bed and they're like, ugh, you know, what do I do? And they wish that someone would just tell them, you know, what the next best opportunity would be. Now, with the 7 of Wands and the 7 of Swords, again, I feel like this is that person's defensiveness and maybe building up walls around themselves. You know, maybe this is someone who might come off a little bit like they don't care, right? Especially if you come forward and you kind of wink at them or you make a move, you know, maybe they'll get really nervous and they'll just kind of walk out. Because with the Hanged Man, this is also talking about inactivity and not taking the next step, you know, not really going forward, having a time of relaxation and having a time of rumination and meditation. So I really feel like this is someone who doesn't feel comfortable right now in making a move, but it doesn't say that they're not interested. I feel like they really love that you are someone who is very giving, you're someone who's very patient too, and you're someone who maybe you have your own routine or your own rituals that you do that they really love. You know, maybe you buy the same few things at a dog store, you know, like every week you go in and you buy the same dog food and the same 5 treats, right? And they just love that consistency about you. You know, they think that that's really awesome that you're someone who is on a schedule because they themselves are on a schedule, right? And I feel like maybe you guys would have a lot in common at the same time if you would just kind of come together and have this conversation. You know, maybe just meet, because I feel like you guys aren't like really close. And for those of you that are super close with this dog card, you know, maybe this is someone who is a really good friend, you know, and maybe they just don't want to come forward with these feelings because they're nervous about kind of scaring you off, right? Especially with the Hanged Man. This is saying I'd rather just sit on the sidelines and just watch you grow while I do my own thing and you do your own thing, because, you know, why fix something that's not broken? I'm very happy with the way things are. So I hope that you enjoyed this stack too. Thank you so much for watching this. Please let me know what you think down below in the comments and leave a like if you enjoyed this. Also hit subscribe if you have not already and the little bell icon to be notified every time that I post a new reading. Also, I have a brand new website where I have 10% off every spread. So make sure to go check that out before it is too late. But yeah, I hope that I have the opportunity to read for you very soon. And yeah, I am so excited for you guys to see the website. It came out beautiful. Oh my goodness. It's just so beautiful. So let me know what you think, and let me know what you think of the new kind of setup as well. I figured I would try something brand new and see what happens. So thank you again so much, Stack 2. I hope that you're having a beautiful day or night, depending on when you're watching this, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! Hello to everyone who picked stack 3. Let's get right into your reading and see who is your secret admirer and why are they admiring you. So starting off with your first 2 cards, these are your Druid Animal Oracle cards, and these are talking about the overall energy of your secret admirer. Who is your secret admirer, right? So starting us off, we have Blackbird and Cat. Woohoo! So these are really awesome energies to have. Cat is very independent. You know, this is someone who is self-reliant. They can strike out on their own. This is someone who can handle any situation on their own 2 feet, you know, without having to rely on other people. This might be someone who tends to bottle up their emotion from time to time and just kind of deal with their own worries, thoughts, and feelings by themselves. You know, this isn't the type of person who is going to rely on other people for emotional support or even any kind of support, to be honest. You know, this is someone who would prefer to be independent and would prefer to kind of do their own thing. Sorry, I had to do the pun. But regardless, with Blackbird, this is also a really beautiful energy because this is someone who is very good at communication. This is someone who is very inspired. They're very creative. They're very kind of inquisitive as well. I feel like this is someone growing up that would ask a lot of questions. Even now, you know, maybe you would take them to a museum and they'd constantly be like, oh, well, what is this? Well, what is this? What is that? You know, even if they already know the answer to the questions, there's someone who still loves to ask these questions, to hear other people's inputs, to hear other people's outlooks and perspectives on life, and, you know, what is correct and what is good. Now with Blackbird as well, what I'm being drawn to is that it is actually perched on this stem right here, and that the cat is actually also, it almost looks very perched, even though he's in a very aggressive position where it's like, don't mess with me, I'll get you, you know, I'll swipe at you with my paw. Blackbird is also perched, you know, and is saying, you know, I'm taking the time to really think this through before I take my next course of action. Even the cat hasn't fully pounced yet, so it's still considering, you know, what am I going to do moving forward? Am I going to attack? Am I going to run away? You know, am I going to just kind of slash and make a noise and just kind of scare whatever is there off? But I feel like this is someone who is a deep thinker and someone who is constantly thinking on their toes. They're very witty at the same time. This might be someone who comes up with really good puns all the time. This might be someone who has dad jokes. Maybe they also have really funny pickup lines, but for the most part, I feel like there's someone who is just very fun-loving for the most part. They're very mature though. You know, they might come off as a little bit too serious, or a little bit too stoic from time to time. But for the most part, this is just someone who, you know, they have a lot on their mind. They're constantly thinking. They're constantly kind of ruminating on what should I be doing? How should I be taking myself to the next level? You know, how should I be evolving into the next best person or next best version of myself? I guess would be the best way to describe how they're feeling. We also have some moon imagery in the background here, which is telling me that this is someone who is very spiritual, someone who is very in tune with themselves and with their ancestors. I feel like they follow synchronicities. They might have a lot of number synchronicities all the time. This might even be someone who kind of uses divination in their spare time. So maybe they work with tarot cards, they work with tea leaves, maybe they even work with just like the law of attraction as well. I know that's not divination, but you know, they work in magic. Just, I think overall, maybe this is someone who even works with candle magic, but this is definitely someone who believes in the metaphysical, and this is someone who loves just kind of thinking about how expansive the world is. They might be really into philosophy too. This is someone who reads very deep books, very big wordy, smarty wordy books, but there's someone who is always very well educated, someone who likes to take their education to the next level all the time, even if there's someone who is already has a career, you know, or already has made a name for themselves. They're not the type of person to turn down schooling. You know, this might be the person who will keep going to college even when they're in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, they just want to keep gaining knowledge, you know, more and more and more. This is the type of person who feels like we never stop learning as we grow up too. They're always looking forward to a better future. I feel like this is someone who has a very realistic head on their shoulders too. They're not overly pessimistic, but they're not overly optimistic either. They're somewhere right in between the middle, where they can look at a situation for what it is and not what they want it to be or what they're scared of it becoming. You know, this is someone who has a very fair outlook. They might have kind of Libra in their chart as well, is what I'm being drawn to say. I also feel like they might have Aquarius, just with how philosophical they are and just with how much they might want to have those really deep conversations with you. I feel like that's something they're really going to appreciate going forward. This is someone who loves being out in nature too. You know, maybe they would want to be hand-fasted. Maybe this is someone who would want to have even a traditional wedding out in nature. But regardless, I feel like they feel the best when they're out maybe camping or when they're out by a stream. Maybe they even have a lot of plants inside of their house that they like to tend and that they like to keep track of going forward. So on to these next two cards. These are going to be your Firefox Kitsune cards, and these are going to be messages from their higher self to you. So we have number 26, Tending the Future, and number 32, Find a Place to Withdraw to. Okay, so with number 26, Tending the Future, this would be the number 8, which is talking about determination and dedication. This is also saying I'm very determined to making a better future, not only for myself, but for my future partner. You know, maybe they are looking at you from afar and going, wow, this is someone that could literally be my future partner, right? There's butterflies here, so I feel like maybe that is going to be a synchronicity for you, or like a confirmation. When you see butterflies, you know, maybe that's when you're going to meet this person, or that's when you know that this person is maybe even thinking of you, right? And I feel like it's going to be the same for them, that maybe they relate butterflies to you, and they see you as someone who is a go-getter and someone who is tending their own future. They see you as someone who is always looking ahead and always saying, how can I better myself? Just like they are. Remember how I was saying that they feel that way with the blackbird energy? They see that in you as well. Now, that's the one thing that I really have to say in all of these piles, is that these secret admirers seem to always like you because you kind of mirror back the beautiful qualities that they also hold. And I think that that's really lovely, you know, that even in people that are opposites, we can find things that we have in common and that really bridge that gap, right? And I just find that so amazing. Even with number 32, Find a Place to Withdraw to, that would be the number 5. So it's talking about change. It's talking about finding that wisdom as well. You know, this is someone who is very wise. This is someone who has been through a lot throughout their lifetime. Again, you know, they might have been a people pleaser in the past, so they had to learn how to evolve and how to get into this cat energy where they're taking care of themselves and they're protecting themselves and protecting their energy and their feelings. Because this is, you know, maybe this is someone who has been walked over in the past. Maybe this is someone who has been maybe even bullied, right? So with Find a Place to Withdraw to, I feel like this is someone who loves to be by themselves. They love to listen to music. I feel like this is someone who maybe even they write poetry, but they're very, very emotive when they get into that creative space. That is how they show their emotions, and that's how they show their feelings. So maybe this is the type of person who, if they play the drums, they're going to record themselves playing the drums and then send a video of themselves to you and be like, what did you think? I wrote that for you. But at the same time, I feel like they come up with some of their best thoughts when they're by themselves. So from their higher self, it's very much saying, hey, I need this time to withdraw. If this is someone that you know that's very close to you and you've noticed them being a little bit kind of maybe a little bit withdrawn, or maybe a little bit different, maybe they've been a little bit more closed off towards you, this is why, because they've been contemplating how to come towards you in a way that maybe will change your mind into thinking of them in a romantic light. Especially with this being autumn imagery, it's really interesting because I feel like now is the time for them to have this rest and this relaxation before they jump into this, because even tending the future reminds me of spring. It reminds me of, you know, what happens after winter is having all this bloom and everything's back to life and everything's happy and warm again. But maybe that's also the energy that you bring in, is that you're someone who's very warm, you're someone who's very loving, and you make them not only feel like they should go into this contemplative state, but that they should also be planning for the future. You know, maybe setting the seeds of intention to the universe and saying, you know, I want them to, you know, go out on this day with me. I want them to go out on a mini golf adventure with me, maybe even a safari. But regardless, you know, it's almost like they're taking the time for themselves to relax, to really think this through at the same time. So going on to these next two cards, these are going to be your angels and ancestors cards, and these are talking about more information on who your secret admirer is. So we have the Hermit card and the Snake card. Oh my goodness, so another card that's talking about retreating. So again, you know, you might have a friend in your life who is being a little bit distant, who, you know, maybe they have decided, hey, I'm going to take a break, I'm going to put myself on the back burner for now, and that's why. It's because they need to regroup, they need to refocus, and maybe they're even trying to kind of forget about the fact that they really like you, or forget about the fact that they have these feelings. But at the same time, with retreat and recharge, maybe they're trying to boast themselves up so that when they do come back with this offer, that it's something that you can't refuse, right? Something that you're going to look at them and be like, wow, you know, this is something that I've always wanted. But they have to really meditate on it and make sure that it's something that they want to go towards, because again, you know, this is someone who loves their independence. So for them to really want to spend their lifetime with someone, you know, I think that that's a really big deal. This is someone who's very earthy. At the same time, we have a lot of dark greens, a lot of emeralds, a lot of kind of yellows as well, which is so beautiful. I feel like this is someone who is very grounded, someone who is constantly very much in their heart chakra. At the same time, they're very understanding, they're very loving, they're very open-hearted, and very understanding, especially when it comes to different cultures. This is someone who is extremely cultured, very well read. Now with Snake, it says shed old skin, so I feel like this is someone who is actively changing, they're actively going through this growth. And I feel like with shed old skin, they're trying to become someone brand new from maybe what they've been in the past to you. You know, maybe they're trying to shed the skin of just being your friend, or maybe they're trying to shed the skin of, you know, just being your Facebook friend of a long time. Maybe they're trying to shed the skin of maybe just even just being your online friend. They want to take that to the next level. They want to actually make this an in real life sort of a relationship. But regardless, they're really working on themselves, and that's why they're retreating, is because they're trying to get their life in order. You know, they're focusing on their finances, they're focusing on their happiness, they're focusing on their love life. You know, and I feel like when it comes to their love life, what they're focusing on is what they want. You know, what do they want in the long term? Do they want to stay single forever? Do they want to stay in this independent energy forever? Or do they want to go out and meet someone who they can share the good times and the bad times with, who they can, you know, share the laughter and the tears, you know? So they really have to do a lot of ruminating. You know, is this something that I even want to pursue? Because maybe this is someone who feels that they're happiest when they're by themselves, and more power to them, right? I feel like they get a lot of goals accomplished when they're by themselves, you know, and they see it more as a blessing than anything else. They see it as, wow, I have a lot of extra room in my bed, I have a lot of extra food that I don't have to share. You know, this is incredible. Now, with these next two cards, these are going to be your transformation oracle cards, and these are talking about what they want with you. So what are their intentions? What do they want going forward? So we have resurrection and integration. Oh my goodness. So again, another card that's talking about, you know, kind of having that resurrection, having that regeneration of kind of energy into this relationship as well. And this is also saying still coming back together in a way that makes sense like before. You know, it doesn't have to change too much, but it has to change just enough to where you guys can have this growth into a loving and caring, compassionate relationship. I feel like this is someone, again, who is a little bit rough around the edges, you know, and maybe that's something that they're really trying to refine, because with integration, it's almost like it's this artist that is smoothing out the edges of this masterpiece, right? And they're trying to put it back together. It's really, really tough, but it's something that they can do. And maybe that's something that they also want to tell you, is that they're watching you from afar. If this is someone who has been through a little bit of family sorrow, you know, maybe someone in their life passed away, and that's why they're trying to kind of pick up the pieces again. You know, maybe they just went through a really harsh breakup and they're trying to pick up the pieces from that. But regardless, you know, they're really resurrecting themselves right now. I feel like this is more like a playful crush as opposed to anything else. I don't feel like this is like an actual, oh my gosh, I'm going to marry this person. But I definitely feel like they are very happy with you, that you bring them a lot of good times. I feel like you guys could be very, very good friends if you aren't already. Maybe even if this is someone who admires you from afar, they think like, wow, I'd love to have a friendship with this person. I'd love to, you know, just kind of get to know them a little bit more. Right? It doesn't even have to be anything serious, which, I mean, is kind of the energy that we have here with the cat. You know, this is someone who isn't necessarily tied down to anything. Also, with the blackbird, you know, this is someone who is very much focused on their own endeavors going forward. You know, this is someone who is singing their own song. They're singing their own tune and their own melody. And that's nothing wrong, you know, but I definitely feel like if they did come forward, maybe they wouldn't be as emotionally there for you as other partners. Now, if you're someone who is just as independent, someone who is just on the fence, you know, about if you want to have a partnership because you love your independence, then definitely, I feel like this person would be absolutely perfect for you, right? For some of you, I also feel like maybe this is an old friend coming back to rekindle that, especially with resurrection. Maybe you guys also spent a past life together as lovers in a past life, and that's why they have this undeniable attraction to you. You know, even if this is more a platonic feel and they just want to be friends with you, I feel like there is an underlying attraction, maybe from a past life, right? But going on to this next card, this is going to be your animal messages card, and this is going over a characteristic, quality, or trait that they absolutely adore about you. So we have Wolverine. Woohoo! So this says you're a lot tougher than you think you are. So they might feel like you don't give yourself enough credit where credit is due. You know, you're someone who is very much resilient. You're someone who always perseveres. You're always pushing yourself to go forward and to continue on. You know, and you're someone who puts on a brave face all the time. You're not someone who complains. You're not someone who looks at the lack in life. And that's something that they really, really love going forward. You know, they really respect you and they appreciate you. They think that you're just absolutely incredible with how you handle things. They find you very mature at the same time. Now with Wolverine, they're very cute, but at the same time, you know, it's like, don't mess with them. They see you as someone who should be respected, as someone that they don't want to mess with, you know, as someone who, if they ever got on your bad side, they would probably, I don't even think that they try, right? I'm just going to be completely blunt here, because I think that they know you too well, and I think that they'd say, like, you know, once you see someone for who they truly are, you're not the type of person who is ever going to take them back again, right? So I feel like if someone ever did you dirty, you're not the type of person who is going to be like, yeah, okay, Jim, I'll let you back into my house and you can come in even though you took all of my silver candles, like in Les Mis. And with Wolverine, they definitely see you as someone who can stand up for yourselves at the same time. Maybe they're a little bit intimidated by you from time to time, but that's also another thing that they really love. So going forward onto this next card, this is going to be your animal totem card, and this is talking about the overall energy of your secret admirer. So we have the Two of Swords. So this is sandpiper energy. This is someone who maybe is a little bit scatterbrained from time to time. When I think about these birds, I think about them running on the seashore, you know, and by the beach, and they're just running, and then they run up to the edge of the water, and then as soon as the tide comes in, they run the other way. And I very much feel like that's their energy when it comes to you. Maybe there's been many attempts to make a connection with you, maybe even to reach out and say, hey, I really like you, Rebecca, but it never really panned out. It was never something that actually worked. You know, and with that energy of the Two of Swords as well, they're very indecisive. You know, again, it's also the indecisiveness of, do I really want a partnership, or do I want something to pass the time? Do I really want, you know, someone to spend the rest of my life with, or do I want to be able to go out whenever I want? You know, they might have a lot of negative connotations when it comes to relationships, almost like people will be inherently stuck in relationships, or someone will be forced into one. I feel like maybe this is also someone who goes into that trope of, you know, once you're married, that's sort of it, and your wife controls you, or your husband controls you, or this or that. So maybe they're a little bit standoffish when it does come to marriage. You know, they don't want to be the type of person who's just going to settle down like that. They want to experience the world. They want to travel. I feel like this is someone who wants to travel to Greece. They want to travel to Italy. They want to travel to France. They want to go here. They want to go there. They want to experience this and that. You know, they want to do everything, but at the same time, they're a little bit hesitant. Like, do I really want a partner to be able to do that with, though? You know, this is someone who just loves the journey and they love the adventure. Maybe they even like the simplicity of being able to just kind of camp out in their sleeping bag for like 5 days in a row and not have to worry about brushing their teeth or taking a shower or changing their clothes or their underwear, you know, and the only person that they have to explain to is themselves, you know. And I feel like for some people that pick this pile, you know, that's definitely the energy of this person and of this friend, is that, yeah, they really appreciate you and they really love you, but at the same time, they're like, I don't want to put the effort in, you know, I don't want to have to do this because I really enjoy my life the way it is. And maybe that's why they haven't made a move. Maybe that's why they are still a secret admirer, is because they don't want to be stuck in a relationship. So they'd rather be stuck in thought, right, with the Two of Swords, and stuck in decision making. So going on to your next three cards, these are going to be your Crow Tarot cards, and these are talking about how they see you. So we have the King of Pentacles, the Five of Pentacles, and the Eight of Swords, like the Six of Swords. There we go, sorry. Now with the Six of Swords, for a second I thought those were swords. I think I need glasses. But with the King of Pentacles and the Five of Pentacles, they see you as someone who can take care of themselves. They see you as someone who is extremely mature, someone who is amazing with time management, with money management, just with everything kind of earthly at the same time. They see you as someone who's very well put together, someone who is extremely abundant, especially with all of these apple pieces on the ground. It's almost like you have more than enough. Like, you have all of these apples, and then you're also saying to your neighbors, you're like, hey, Jim, come on over and have some of these with me. You know, I have too many. Maybe that's how this person really sees you, is that from time to time, the King of Pentacles can also be a little bit boastful, so they might see you in a little bit of that energy, and that's nothing bad. You know, I think that they really love when you're proud enough to boast about your accomplishments and about your successes and about the things that really make you proud going forward. Again, I feel like they see you as someone who can very much kind of go the distance as well, because with these apples and with this kind of apple tree that's growing down here, it takes about 5 years for apples to really be able to fruit and for the fruit to finally show up. So it takes a long time. So it takes a lot of perseverance, a lot of belief, a lot of love and caring towards your plant and towards your apple tree to be able to get that beautiful harvest in, especially for fall time, which is actually Oh my gosh, that's the energy that we have here. So maybe fall is very important. Maybe one of you, has Virgo in your chart. Maybe one of you, just in general, maybe you guys met in fall, or maybe you guys are going to meet again in fall. But with the King of Pentacles, it's just giving me that fall vibe with apples. Maybe you guys are going to go to an apple orchard together. Maybe you guys are going to start an apple orchard together. But with the Five of Pentacles, maybe they feel a little bit shut out in the cold from you from time to time. Maybe they see you as someone who is so into your own career and into your own accomplishments and into your own endeavors that you have no time for them, that you have no time for anyone else. And, maybe that's okay for them because they are also super independent. So they see it as a good thing. They see it as you're someone who is goal-oriented. You're someone who doesn't need another person just like them. And maybe that's part of the appeal, right? Is that you're someone who maybe you're always single, or maybe you're always just not interested in going to that next level with someone in a partnership. And I think that that's something that they really, really love, especially with the Six of Swords. You're someone, though, when you are in a partnership, you don't mind, leaving if you have to do that. You're someone who is very okay with going to the next situation and going through the next circumstance. Even if it's a little bit hard, you know that you're going to gain a lot of wisdom, and you know that you're going to gain a lot of lessons from the circumstance that you're going through. They see you as someone who is incredibly wise and incredibly intelligent at the same time, even though maybe you have been kind of shut out in the cold by relationships as well. Maybe if you guys are already friends, maybe you have told this person oh yeah, Bob shut me out in the cold again and they ghosted me, and that's something that they've seen you go through. But you're someone who has always overcome these problems and overcome these obstacles, and maybe even these people that have made you feel a little bit less than worthy, because you've remembered your worth. You remember that you are this King of Pentacles, right? You are very emotionally mature, emotionally stable, and stable in general. You have a very good job. You're someone who can take care of yourself, and you're someone who can pay for dinner for another person. I think that that's probably another reason why they like you, is because you're very 50-50, and you're someone who doesn't mind also picking up the bill, and maybe that's something that they don't like about traditional dating, is that if they were constantly saying, hey, you want to go out, they would have to pay for everything. And I feel like that gets a little inconvenient from time to time, especially when you're trying to save up for your future or trying to save up for trips in general, right? So going on to these next few cards, these are going to be your Game of Thrones cards, and these are talking about what they want with you. So what is this person's intentions going forward? So we have the Page of Swords, the Emperor in reverse, the Eight of Swords in reverse, the Six of Coins, and the Four of Swords. Oh my goodness. Okay, so right off the bat with the Page of Swords, they want to have a little bit more communication. They want to be able to come to you and have a brand new beginning, a brand new start with clarity. Maybe they want to just come forward and say, hey, I'm not ready for a relationship, but I'm not opposed to just kind of seeing where this could go. I don't even feel like it's a friends with benefits sort of a relationship. I just feel like maybe they just want to see what the whole hype about dating is, and then go from there. If it's something that they really like, then hey, let's pursue it to marriage. Let's do this for the long term, but they're very open to giving to you. They're very open to being generous with you, and maybe even offering you gifts, offering you money, offering you assistance whenever you need it. This doesn't just have to be in material items. This could also be in time. This could be in love. This could be in friendship, companionship at the same time. Now, with the Emperor in reverse, with the Eight of Swords in reverse, it's almost like I'm not going to be bound to you, though, in regards to the relationship. And maybe that's even why we have the Page of Swords. It's like, I want to start small. I just want to be her friend. I don't want to start this out as a very serious relationship or a very serious connection, because that's something, again, that they're very worried about. They're worried about being stuck in a situation that they can't get out of. And they're worried about getting themselves stuck in a situation with someone that they really do care about, and that maybe they might mess up, and maybe they might do this, maybe they might do that. Now with the Emperor in reverse, I feel like they're saying, though, that they see you as someone who isn't stubborn at all. They see you as someone who has a very good head on their shoulders, but someone who maybe is still growing. Maybe for some of you that pick stack 3, you're not quite ready to have a family yet. You're not quite ready to get to that next level, and that's something that they really appreciate about you, because they know that if they did date you, that's not something something that would ever happen. And maybe there's a little bit of security in that, knowing that, hey, this wouldn't be for like 5-10 years down the road, right? That you guys would be getting proposed and then engaged and then married, you know, and all that good stuff. Now, with the Four of Spears, you know, this really is talking about setting up a solid foundation. This doesn't just have to be marriage. This can just be talking about, you know, I want to set up something that's going to last with you. I want to be able to maybe just go out on more friendship outings with you. I want to go out on more play dates, right? Now, with the Four of Spears, again, this is talking about, I want to build a house and, you know, I want to maybe have you come live in it with me for a while. We could just be roommates. We could do this. We could do that. You know, just kind of talking things over, seeing where you both stand. The Four of Spears, you know, this is also talking about passion. You know, oh my goodness, I kept saying the Four of Swords and that was like a total word typo. But regardless, with the Four of Spears, you know, even the Four of Swords, I feel like they need time to really think about this. And maybe that's even why I was channeling that card with talking about that you're someone who is going to be their long-term goal if they want to pursue this on a sort of marriage level, right? This is something that they're not going to say, hey, let's just do this overnight. This is going to take time, but they're also going to want to make sure that they're doing this right, you know, and that you both are really putting in the same amount of effort, that it is based on reciprocity, because they definitely don't want to be in a relationship where one of you is giving more than the other, because they see you as someone who is very giving. For another kind of select few of you, I feel like they see you as the type who would want to get married, even though they themselves might not want to do that. So for some of you, there's a select few where they're very open to the idea of getting married, and then there's another half where it's like, I am not really about that life, you know, like we could probably date forever, we could get engaged, we could do all of that, but you know, I don't really know about being tied down. So there are definitely two different energies that are going on here, but for the majority of you, I feel like it's like, let's just see what happens. Let's just see where this goes. So going on to these next four cards, these are going to be your Glow Glow Tarot cards, and these are talking about what they like the most about you. What do they admire about you? So we have the Six of Wands, the Judgment card in reverse, the Three of Cups, the Eight of Pentacles, and the Ten of Cups. Woohoo! So these are really awesome cards, very uplifting, very kind of fun-loving and happy. Honestly, you couldn't have gotten any better cards in the Minor Arcana. Now, with the Judgment card in reverse, and it being the only Major Arcana card, it's very interesting. You know, maybe they see you as someone who has experienced a lot of rebirths, and actually that might also be talking about resurrection, that you're someone who has experienced a lot of resurrections and a lot of brand new beginnings. Maybe you're someone who doesn't like to feel stagnant, and that's an energy that they share with you, right? And that's something that they really love about you. Now, with the Six of Wands, they see you as a go-getter. They see you as someone who's dedicated, as passionate, as someone who is always going to that next level and going towards that next opportunity. Now, with the Six of Wands, this is also someone who is very victorious, someone who is very well accomplished, very successful, feeling like they've won the battle and the war, right? Now, with the Three of Cups, this is celebrations, this is friendship, this is getting together, baby showers, weddings, you know, maybe even family reunions, but they see you as someone who is very close to them, and someone who is very exciting, someone who is very fun-loving, someone who is just fun in general. Now, with the Eight of Pentacles, they see you as a hard worker. They see you as someone who goes above and beyond for your career. Maybe you're very career-oriented. Maybe you're someone who is always spending the majority of your time in regards to work. Maybe that's even why we have the Six of Pentacles, is because you're working hard. She works hard for the money, so hard for the money, right? So it's very much that sort of a vibe. With the Ten of Cups as well, they see you as someone who could very well bring that sort of happiness to anyone's lives. You're the ideal spouse, you're the ideal partner, you are the ideal friend and sister or brother or mother or dad, or, you know, whatever you might be, but you are the ideal version of it. You know, you are a goddess in this person's eyes, you know, or maybe even a god. But this is someone who just puts you on such an elevated pedestal. But at the same time, you know, it's almost like if it's not going to be me that's happy with you, you're definitely going to make somebody happy, because you're a catch, right? right? They see you as a snack and a half. They really, really like you. But again, I feel like it's very platonic at the same time. Now, we do have the Ten of Cups, so it could be talking about happily ever after, getting married to this person, them seeing you as their best friend, and wanting to take it to this next level because of that. But also, I feel like they see you as someone who can put in the work to get to this happily ever after, and to get to this, this wish fulfillment, if you will, in the end of this chapter and the end of this cycle. So, going on to your last few cards, these are your Enchanted Tarot cards, and these are going over closing messages from your secret admirers. So, we have the Two of Hearts, the Prince of Hearts, the Queen of Wands, the Four of Hearts, and the Eight of Pentacles. All right, so, okay, right off the bat, with the Two of Hearts and the Prince of Hearts, there is a love offer. There is a message that's kind of coming in and coming forward. Maybe it's even coming in from, maybe someone else, because we do have the Four of Hearts, and this can be talking about, kind of rejecting the love offer. Maybe this is even talking about they want to come together with you, they want to be in a relationship with you, but at the same time they're not exactly sure how to go about that with the Four of Hearts. But with the Prince of Hearts, maybe they're debating on if they even want to proceed with this, if they even want to put the effort in, right? Because with the Eight of Pentacles, it's like, I have so much work that has to be done on the career front. I have other things that need my attention and that need my thoughts and my opinions on them. So with the Queen of Wands as well, they see you as someone who is a go-getter, someone who is very fiery, very passionate, very dedicated, someone who can go after their own goals, someone who is very well traveled at the same time. This is just a really awesome energy to be in. You're very creative, you're very inspirational. I feel like a lot of people feel very inspired by you. Now, the Queen of Wands can also be representative of Leo. So you might have Leo somewhere in your charts, or maybe they have it somewhere in their charts as well. Especially since we have all of this cat imagery that's going on throughout this reading. Maybe you guys are both very independent and you're both very much go-getters. Maybe they're worried that you are so much like them that you would kind of decline them. I guess would be the best way to put it. That you would say to them, sorry, I'm not interested in going out with you right now. Maybe try back 5 years from now. And that would make them feel so shut out in the cold, even though they themselves aren't the type to get into relationships or feel like they need to settle down or feel like they want to settle down. I still feel like they would feel really, really extremely dejected if you told them no. And maybe they'd have to just kind of leave for a while and lick their wounds. But again, maybe they see you as someone who maybe would never even just accept the love offer from them. So in the meantime, they're going to focus on their career, they're going to focus on their own endeavors, and they're going to focus on watering their own garden. But I feel like if they ever notice that you were interested, I feel like they might drop hints. They might kind of hint around that they really enjoy you, that they really enjoy your company and want to take things to the next level. Maybe they might even flirt, but at the same time, it might not be something that's really serious. Just because even though we have the Two of Hearts, which is talking about an equal give and take in regards to a union, we also have the Prince of Hearts and the Four of Hearts, which makes me think that, maybe they would come through with something, but it wouldn't be as mature as maybe the Knight of Hearts or the King of Hearts or even the Queen of Hearts, right? This is someone who is still kind of emotionally immature and emotionally unavailable. So maybe this is someone who would just kind of come forward to you and be like, hey, you want to spend Valentine's Day together? And then after that be like, well, I really appreciate that we're, so great as friends. Maybe we could just do that. Maybe this, I don't know, maybe for some of you, a very select few of you, they would want to have a sort of friends with benefits sort of an arrangement, but for the most part, I feel like they care about you too much to be able to do that. So they'd rather just stay friends. They'd rather just stay friendly. For others of you, I feel like if you don't know this person, they're definitely going to come forward with a message or with some sort of an offer like, hey, you want to go out to a concert with me? And maybe you're going to be feeling like it's going to be very romantic. It's going to be a romantic outing. You get all dressed up, you get all looking all nice, you smell good, but then you get there and it's like, sorry, we're not actually doing this, and it's actually, let's be friends, let's do this, let's do that. And, maybe this is someone who they find comfortable comfort in that. You know, that's where they feel the most at ease, is in their career and in something that makes sense to them, something that they do every single day, so it's comfortable, right? It's something that isn't unknown to them. So I hope that you enjoyed this stack 3. Thank you so much for watching this. Please let me know what you think of this down below in the comments. Also leave a like if you enjoyed it, and hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified for all my uploads if you have not already. Also, I have a brand new website. Please check it out for 10% off all readings. It is amazing. Oh my goodness, it is so pretty, and I would love to hear you guys' feedback on it. Also, I would love to hear your feedback on the setup that we have going on here. I decided that maybe we should try something a little bit different, something out of the ordinary, right? And it ended up being really pretty. I really like it. So I hope that you guys enjoy it as well. Please let me know what you think down below. And yeah, I hope I have the opportunity to read for you soon. Again, check out my website, and I will see you in the next video I post. Bye!